Joining us now is Jesse Weber, host for the Law and Crime Network, a network which I founded, as well as Angenette Levy, also from Law and Crime, who was in the courtroom today. Good to see both of you. Appreciate it. All right, so Angenette, you've been in the courtroom. You're listening to all the opening statements. What am I missing here about Johnny Depp that may be leading him to move forward with this lawsuit?
You know, Dan, he claims that Amber Heard, after this op-ed ran in the Washington Post, that he lost acting jobs. But her attorneys say it's not the case. But Depp's attorneys also told the jury that not once in his 58 years on this earth has any woman ever said that he raised a hand to them other than Amber Heard. He contends this was all made up, that he didn't do these things. So he apparently is convinced, despite Heard's attorneys saying that he blacked out during that 3 days in Australia. So they're saying he wouldn't be able to remember what he did anyway. So, you know, he apparently feels that she really dragged him down, not only with the restraining order, but then the op-ed. So you have to believe that he believes that this is what led to his downfall. But I'm not so sure that's the case. He obviously has a history of drug abuse and alcohol abuse.
Well, that's what I was going to ask Jesse about, which is, you know, he's sort of blaming as if this op-ed, where he isn't even mentioned by name, becomes the downfall of his entire career. And yet he had a reputation for being, at the very least, incredibly difficult on sets. And that was sort of just the beginning.
Here's the problem. He tied himself to this Washington Post op-ed. Now, here's the problem. It's really 3 statements that he has a problem with, one of which Amber Heard apparently didn't even write. So then it leaves you with these 2 statements, and they're so vague that when you talk about the definition of domestic violence, it can be physical, it can be psychological, it can be sexual. If she just shows one aspect of that, his case loses. And the problem with this, of course, is why is he doing it? He makes such a great point. So is it the money? Well, personally, I feel that his legal case is very weak. Notoriously, defamation cases are hard to prove, particularly against celebrities. She has a strong First Amendment argument, and there's a problem with the statements. But then if you think about the reputation, okay, if a jury agrees with me, I'm going to clear my name. Well, what's going to happen between now and the end of 6 weeks? We are all going to hear these allegations, and I find it kind of ironic that he wants to clear his name, but all of this is going to come out in the public, in the American public's eyes, which I don't know how many people in America followed the UK case, but now they're all going to follow this case because they're going to tune in to everything, hopefully on Law and Crime, but also on this station. And everybody's going to now get a firsthand glimpse of these accusations, and he's trying to win a court in public opinion. I just think this is going to turn on him. I don't know what he's trying to prove by doing this. I think it's going to backfire, my personal opinion. Well,
and here is Amber Heard's lawyers talking about his motivation, because remember, this is based on something she wrote in the Washington Post. This is number 7. This was in the opening statements today.
You don't see the Washington Post sitting here as a defendant in this courtroom. Depp didn't sue the Washington Post. He had no interest in doing that. He only sued Amber. He could have sued the Washington Post. They published the article, but he didn't. And he chose to bring Amber to court here in Virginia, where she has no ties, has never lived, he's never lived, where they never spent any time, because he wanted to make her life hard. He wanted to ruin her life. He wanted to destroy her.
And Jeanette, we're expecting both Johnny Depp and Amber Heard to testify in this case?
That's right, Dan. Both of their lawyers say that they will take the stand and they will tell their stories. And that obviously means that they will be subject to cross-examination. I think that, you know, a lot of people are left wondering with some of the things we heard today, which Johnny Depp has a lot of issues personally. What is his true motivation? And maybe it is that he wants to punish her. But with all of these things that will come out, you have to wonder if his reputation can ever be rehabilitated.
Is it pretty bizarre being in that courtroom and being at that courthouse?
It's a little strange. I mean, it feels odd that we're here in Virginia, but you know, it is what it is. We're here because Johnny Depp's lawyers say this is where the Washington Post is published, and this is why they filed it here. But also, at the time, the defamation laws were more favorable and were a little looser, apparently, than they are now. So it is a little bit odd. He walked in today looking very confident. He was smiling at his lawyers. He was all smiles after the opening statement. What's interesting, though, is the number of people who've shown up to support Johnny Depp. Fans from across the country have traveled here. I talked to a woman from Minnesota. She brought her 4 children with her to support Johnny Depp. I've met one person who is here from California to support Amber Heard.
Well, that's just because Johnny Depp is much more famous than Amber Heard, I think. I don't know that that's a reflection of a whole lot. But let me do this. Let me ask you both to stick around, because coming up, Johnny Depp's sister testified today. She says Amber was horrible to her brother Johnny. This trial is going to get ugly. That's next.
This is NewsNation, news for California, and news for all America.
My name is Austin James. As a musician living with diabetes, finger sticks can be a real challenge. That's why I use the Freestyle Libre 2 system. With a painless 1-second scan, I know my glucose numbers without finger sticks. Now I'm managing my diabetes better, and I've lowered my A1C from 8.2 to 6.7.
Take the mystery out of managing your diabetes and lower your A1C. Now you know. Try it for free at freestylelibre.us.
At JP Morgan, the only definition of wealth that matters is yours. It can be a smaller house, but a bigger nest egg, a goal to work toward, or the freedom to walk away. With 200 years of experience, personalized advice, and commission-free trades on an award-winning app, we're working for you. Planning, investing, advice. JP Morgan Wealth Management.
Lactate is 100% real milk, just without the lactose. Tastes great in our iced coffees, too, which makes waking up at 5 a.m. to milk the cows a little easier.
Mabel says for you, it's more like 5:15.
Mom, really?
My dad told me he's back into old hobbies, but it looks like he's picked up new habits for his type 2 diabetes, too.
Once weekly Trulicity is proven to help lower A1C, and it can help you lose up to 10 pounds. Trulicity is for type 2 diabetes. It isn't for people with type 1 diabetes. It's not approved for use in children. Don't take Trulicity if you're allergic to it. You or your family have medullary thyroid cancer or have multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2. Stop Trulicity and call your doctor right away if you have an allergic reaction, a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, changes in vision, or diabetic retinopathy. Serious side effects may include pancreatitis. Taking Trulicity with sulfonylurea or insulin raises low blood sugar risk. Side effects include nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea, which can lead to dehydration and may worsen kidney problems. Ask your doctor about once weekly Trulicity.
I don't just play someone brainy on TV. I'm an actual neuroscientist, and I love the science behind Neuriva Plus. Unlike ordinary memory supplements, Neuriva Plus fuels 6 key indicators of brain performance. More brain performance, yes please. Neuriva, think bigger.
Does your windshield have a crack? Trust SafeLight. This customer had auto glass damage, but he was busy working from home. So he scheduled with SafeLight in just a few clicks. We came to his house. Then we got to work. We replaced his windshield and installed new wipers to protect his new glass. While he finished his meeting, let SafeLight come to you.
Looks great. Thank you.
Our pleasure. That's service on your time. Schedule now.
SafeLight Repair, SafeLight Replace.
December 2015, that was one of the worst. Australia was pretty bad, but this one was even worse. In this particular occasion, he gets angry for some reason, and he starts dragging her by her hair through the apartment, kicking her, punching her, tearing her hair out. At one point, she gets up and looks at him, and he headbutts her, and she gets 2 black eyes from it. Then he goes and drags her up the stairs, puts her on the bed, puts his foot and knee in the back of her, and he continues to punch her, telling her he's fucking hating her and he's fucking gonna kill her.
I mean, that was the opening statement today made by the attorney for Amber Heard in the lawsuit brought by Johnny Depp. So again, remember, he doesn't need to be in that courtroom. He is choosing to be in that courtroom. Joined again by Angenette Levy and by Jesse Weber. Angenette, you were saying that in the courtroom there are a lot of supporters of Johnny Depp there. I would assume when statements like this are being made, they're rolling their eyes? They don't believe any of it? It's all made up?
You know, it's really funny because I kept looking around to see what some of the supporters, how they were reacting, especially the ones that I had spoken to over the last couple of days. And they were stone-faced. They took notes. You're only allowed to have a pen and paper in there. And they really didn't react. Like, I didn't see a whole lot of reaction from some of them. But they clearly have told me they don't believe Amber Heard. They don't believe one thing that she says. They think that she was using Johnny Depp to further her career.
Yeah. I remember, I got to tell you, I remember when I was covering the Michael Jackson case, that was even a bigger spectacle to some degree. And there were all of these supporters of Michael Jackson there. You know, it was quite a scene. Let me play a little piece of sound. This is Johnny Depp's sister, who was the first witness called today by the plaintiff, by Johnny Depp. And she's talking about insults that she said she heard Amber Heard hurling at her brother.
I've seen the insults multiple times, actually.
What, if anything, did you hear Ms. Heard say about Mr. Depp's physical appearance?
She called him an old fat man.
I mean, you know, Jesse Weber, the point of this testimony is to what? Just sort of muck up Amber Heard a little bit?
Well, I mean, it's two sides of the same coin, right? They're both claiming the other one was abusive, whether it was psychologically abusive or verbally abusive. And the more the plaintiff, Johnny Depp, can show that, look, Amber Heard was not a good person. She was talking bad about Johnny Depp. It can kind of make the jury believe, oh, well, maybe she abused him physically as well. Maybe she's a liar. She's not a good person. You can't believe her. They're also setting the groundwork for, as Angenette said, when she's eventually going to testify. You can't believe anything she has to say. And this is where it gets really ugly, because you're going to have people who know these two very well and love these two very well and now are forced to testify about their relationship. And it gets a little ugly because you're going to have people who testify to two parts. Yeah, Amber Heard did bad things, but you know what? Johnny Depp, my brother, even there was some cross-examination that got out where she admitted he was a drug abuser. There were texts that came out that said, stop doing cocaine. And so I'm concerned at the end of this trial, all that we're going to left with is we're just going to see the dirty laundry of two stars that had a very unfortunate, disturbing relationship. And the jury's going to be left with wondering what to do with that.
And Angenette, there are going to be a lot of high-profile names potentially testifying in this case, right?
That's right. James Franco, the actor, is supposed to, or we're expecting him to testify via Zoom for Amber Heard. Elon Musk is going to testify, we've been told, via Zoom, and Paul Bettany, who is a friend of Johnny Depp's. And there were some pretty crazy text messages that those two exchanged in which they, we think in jest talked about possibly killing Amber Heard and drowning her to see if she was a witch and things like that. So those are not going to make Johnny Depp look very good. A lot of what's going to come out is not going to make either one of them look very good, as Jesse mentioned.
Yeah, such a shame. I've been such a Johnny Depp fan for a long time, and you get to know these people behind the scenes, and obviously that can change things. Angenette Levy and Jesse Weber, thank you. We look forward to your continuing coverage on the Law and Crime Network.
Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.